Hi, I'm just another reader, and today I am reviewing Kaiju number 8. It was just recently announced that this is getting a anime adaptation, so I thought, what now than a better time to read this, see what it's all about, see what all the fuss is about. I see it on the manga charts, it's always topping it, and I gotta find out. It's got an anime coming up, so usually that means it's good. Can't always say that, but hey, usually means something good's coming. And I want to say right off the bat, I sat down to read this about 12 a.m. I didn't think I'd read that much. I read all 6 to 8 chapters available in 5 hours. It was that good of a read. And we're going to start with just chapter 1, go over that, see if that hook that chapter 1 draws also gets you. And if so, I think you should read it to find out what happens next. So right off the bat, Kaiju country Japan. Leading the world in number of kaiju incidents. So we've got a giant kaiju in the city. First off, I love the scale. Important moments in this manga, drawn in color. A lot of manga do that. And you got drones flying around the city like, hey, a monster's appeared, run, evacuate. So this is the world we're in. It's normal, like they have preparations. Attack on Titan has titans, Tokyo Ghoul has ghouls running around. My Hero Academia has heroes and villains with quirks. Like, this is the norm of this world. Great setup. So who is our main character in this world? Well, he works at a professional kaiju cleanup called Monster Sweeper. And we see the company at the site of that dead kaiju from the opening with its head, just a giant hole in its head. And it's just like, are we even gonna be able to finish this in a week? It's like, oh wow, this looks rough. It's so rough, in fact, that sometimes you might throw up on the job. And you know, the mangaka censored this for us. Thank God. He's cleaning up the intestines right now. And it's just like, don't throw up in your suit. So it's clearly a rough job. And at the end of the day, he goes home and just relax, watching TV. And he's watching the news report on the kaiju he's cleaning up. He's like, oh, I wonder what happened. And the Defense Corps 3rd Division did an outstanding job of subjugating the kaiju today. Bringing the troops together is their leader, Captain Ashira Mina. Just 27-year-old. She's already defeated hundreds of kaiju. Combined with her beauty, she has become one of the most popular captains and should be a future candidate for the commander role. So a lot of things, a lot of background information in this panel and the following panels is, well, that girl, who is a captain of the 3rd Division, is his childhood friend, and they made a promise to join the Defense Corps and fight kaiju by each other's side. But clearly along the way, something went wrong. She is clearly a well-respected member of the Defense Corps, saying, hey, she might become commander. And he is quite literally cleaning up after her. Just sweeping the floor basically behind her. That is quite the juxtaposition. And we have the 3rd Division also being mentioned. So there's clearly multiple divisions, kind of like Fire Force in their fire companies, but instead of fighting fires, we were fighting giant kaiju. Love that. So next day at work, we've got a new part-timer today. He says he wants to join the Defense Corps. And the boss says that because our main character also wanted to join the Defense Corps a long time ago, but he gave up and now he's become an old timer here. So we mentioned the age of Ichikawa Reno, 18 years old, you can see in the panel, and we don't have our main character's age. I believe he's between 30 and 32. And our guy's just thinking, wow, my boss is the worst. He's like, don't scare the kid away. And then Ichikawa just says, why? Why did you give up? That's a hard question. A lot of people have a dream job in mind, and sadly, a lot of people miss that dream job. And our main character is one of them. He's in his 30s. Clearly, he plans to be here for a while longer. This is kind of his career path he's on. He's got his own place. Like he's a grown adult. This is a shonen manga where the main character is a grown adult who's got his own money, his own place. The parents aren't missing because he doesn't have parents. the parents are missing because he lives on his own. He's a grown man. And our guy's just like, why did you give up? Why are you working here, pretty much? And our guy's just like, damn, that's so unfair. I'd look bad no matter how I responded to that. Which is true, because you can either give an excuse why you didn't make it, or you can just be like, yeah, I just wasn't good enough. Either way, it just feels bad. So they eventually do a day's worth of work, and at the end, Ichikawa is just like, hey man, I was able to get through the first day thanks to you. Thank you. Like, he went from kind of being a jackass who's kind of like, why'd you give up, man? Why are you now this worthless cleaner? To, hey man, this is hard work. Thanks for not making it as hard as I made it. That question on you. It's a very like humble thing to do. Kind of gives you some respect for the character and a little bit of bonding between them. There's a bit of age difference, about 10-year age difference, but you know, in the workforce that happens, and you can still be friends with those people. And they're cleaning up for the day. They're about to go home, and Ichikawa mentions they've raised the age of recruitment to 33, and he's basically saying, I think you should go for it again, man. This is like your last chance. Don't give up on your dream. Like, so there's a little bit of respect between the two of them. I just did some hard work together, so hey, I respect you. I'm gonna tell you something. And that's a nice thing to do. And as they're about to go home, boom, giant kaiju, not really a giant, but clearly bigger than them, pops out of the corpse of that giant kaiju they were cleaning up. They call it a after beast. Like, sometimes kaiju have beasts surrounding them, little ones, and this one was in its intestines. And it's just the two of them. They're in trouble. It's right behind Ichikawa, and our main character just jumps and saves them. He's making a sacrifice play, pretty much. He's like, get away, run with everything you've got, call for help once you're safe. He's sacrificing himself for someone who he could call a friend, even though it's just like their first day of meeting. And our Ichikawa, the friend of the main character, just he starts running, but he comes back with a stop sign and drills the monster in the head. And we get inside Ichikawa's head for a brief moment, and we see he's like, this is the first monster I'm seeing. If I want to join the defense corps, I can't run from this thing. I gotta prove to myself that I can do this, that I've got the courage to join the defense corps. And that's his reason to come back. But I'm there's also like, I don't want to leave this guy I just met for dead. I mean, they're friends. And well, they're obviously gonna die together if this keeps on, but luckily his childhood friend, captain of the 3rd Division, Mina, saves them. They end up in the hospital together. And he's just like, he's looking at his hand, he's trembling, he's scared out of his mind. He's just like, Mina was amazing. Something that terrifying in just a moment was gone, pretty much. And now he's just like, she's completely out of my league. Like, how can I compare to her? Not out of my league in a romantic sense, but out of my league in like this is LeBron James and he's not even playing middle school basketball. This is the kind of separation we're at. He is the janitor cleaning the court that Mina's playing on. He's quite literally cleaning up after her mess. And so we have that realization from our main character. And there's a little more bonding between the two characters in the hospital room, because not only did they do a hard day's work together and they were all kind of on the way to becoming friends, they just went through a traumatic event where they literally risked each other's lives to save each other. So clearly they're going to be good friends, yada yada. And then we've got a kaiju, a tiny kaiju that just appears in the hospital room, and our guy's just like, huh? It's a great face. I love it. The art in this is amazing, and it crawls in his mouth. First off, terrifying. A lot of crazy things running through my mind as I see that. And in the next panel, the last panel of the chapter, we see that he's turned into a monster. Huh? Like, they're looking at each other like, huh? I love that. A little bit of comedy. Like, it's kind of like a serious moment. Like, you've got the moon in the background. It looks amazing. Very cool face. The skeleton, the horns. Wow. Amazing. And we still got time for comedy. That quick look in the glass window. He's like, that's me? What's happening? So that's the setup. First off, love that setup. We've got a goal in mind. He wants to join the Defense Corps. We got some enemies, the villains, titans, whatever you want to call them. The monsters, Kaiju. They're there. That's like the big bad. Something more is probably going to happen. I don't want to give you any spoilers, so I'm avoiding that. And I just want to say, when that monster crawls in his mouth, I get very big Parasite vibes. I read the Parasite manga. It's a little older art style, but that little worm thing trying to get in his head, but he blocks with the headphone cords, I immediately think of that scene. But I want to talk about the main character a little bit and how his motivations kind of differ. Attack on Titan comes to mind. It's a big anime, it's fresh. But in the very beginning, Aaron's like, I'm gonna destroy them. Every last one. It's a very clear scene where we get our main character's motivation going forward for like the next couple seasons or whatever. He hates Titans. Like, he fucking hates them. But our main character in this one isn't like that. He's not joining the Defense Corps because he hates Kaiju. We see his town get destroyed, but we don't know if his parents died in it or anything. It's more of a, no spoilers because that does happen in chapter 1. It's more of a, hey, I want to help defend and fight these things. It's more from a good side of his heart and not out of hatred or anything, not an extreme emotion like that. So I think overall he's a well-rounded character. He just wants to help people, which I think plays a big part in later motivations. But I also want to say, after we see him become a kaiju, not really a spoiler because this happens in the next 2 chapters, we get a time skip. So we don't get the part where he has to get used to this newfound experience. Like, I think of Tokyo Ghoul, that scene where he's trying all the food in his apartment, where he's like, holy shit, I can't eat anything. That's a very frightening thing for him because, you know, he just tried his favorite burger that tastes like dog poop or something. But no, we just know in like that 3-month time skip that he controls his ability to transform. That's kind of the big thing, and at first he can't really control it. It's a whole new body. He doesn't know what he's doing. So next, what to expect from the plot, because you know, you may, even after the first chapter, you may still be thinking, do I want to read this manga? And the plot is more of a, how will him being a monster affect his career aspirations to join the Defense Corps? And he failed the first time. Is he strong enough, physically fit enough in his older age at 32-ish to pass the exam? And I mentioned that he wants to join the Defense Corps to protect people, to kind of be like a hero like Deku from My Hero Academia. His whole goal is to just defeat Kaiju, not because he hates them, but because he wants to protect people. How will that motivation of protecting people and his lack of the ability to protect people without depending on that monster power play into the story? Because he's in a situation where he works for the Defense Corps. If they find out he's a kaiju, it's kind of like a, hey, you'll be experimented on, you'll be killed, you'll be tortured, all the friends you made in the Defense Corps will hate you. It's that kind of invisible pressure where he doesn't know if that's true, but like, it could be true. It's very plausible to think that in this kind of situation. So we got a little secret, super strong guy who appears weak. Everyone thinks he's weak. How do you like that? I mean, that is a very common trope, but it's a common trope for a reason. People like it. I always compare it to romance novels where a guy and a girl clearly like each other. Everyone knows it, but they don't know it. And so whenever they're together, like, the tension is high. Like, oh my God, is he gonna confess? Are they gonna kiss? It's that kind of similar vibe, but more shonen. Weird to compare romance and like heavy-sided romance show like maybe Love is War to a action-packed shonen, but that kind of trope, that this genre really relies on, I think is important to acknowledge. Because if you hate that, you're not going to like this. But if you do like that, where he has to hide himself, you're going to love it. You're going to love that dynamic. I'm not saying it's going to be like that the entire time, because, hey, there's 68 chapters, so you can only do that trope for so long. But it's great to see it, those tense situations. And just wondering how people react to knowing that he is a monster. And that is the origin behind the name of the manga. I know, not really that special, not that cool, but over time, they start giving meaning to the monster numbers, and it starts to seem cooler. And the human characters, I want to talk about this. The way they fight the kaiju is quite interesting. It kind of reminds me of Fire Force a little bit, how most of the characters have fire-based powers, but the way they fight the kaiju differ. And seeing the different captains or different people in the division's own fighting style is very interesting. So if you like what I've said so far and what I've shown, I think you should read Kaiju number 8. Alright, the first video on the channel is over, but real quick comment about Kaiju number 8. There's a scene where someone is very clearly playing Apex and is interrupted, and they say like BS5, so he's playing on a PlayStation, and he's like, 5 kills and 4 assists, I got this in the bag. I love that. Like, the author was clearly playing a little Apex before he like drew the scene, and I love that. I'm assuming it's Apex just because the kill and assist system isn't really in Warzone. I don't think Warzone has rank, and Fortnite doesn't call theirs, I think, platinum rank. I think they use something else. I play a lot of Apex, so my first thing that comes to mind is Apex. Maybe something else comes to mind when you see this panel. But that's it. Now the video's over.